All right, welcome to a special edition. No, I'm just kidding. We have a lot of news today, but we do have some sad things to talk about, which of course is David Schwartz moving on from the CTO of Ripple. And so I made a video about this. The video did come out maybe like a half hour ago, but I want to talk about this today, what it means for Ripple and XRP going forward. And of course, talking with you, the community, about it. Also have a ton of information, a lot of kind of conspiracy theories going around right now on X about the government shutdown and possible, I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of really weird posts by people today that I didn't. Anyways, I'll show you what I'm talking about, and you're gonna tell me what you think. But man, great to see everybody. What's going on? ATS World, Christopher, great to see you. Let's see here. Akshay, nice to see you. If Brad Garlinghouse needs a CTO type who worked on Swift and blockchain certified instructor, please pass in my bio. I'll do that, man. I don't know how many conversations Brad and I have, but if we're ever in the same room, I'll definitely pass it on. What's up, Sebastian? Great to see you. Peter's here. What's up, Peter? Ariana's here to keep the chat safe. Great to see you, Ariana. Big Shrimp, what's up, man? Still alive and holding on for dear life. Yeah, it's kind of a little nerve-wracking right now, isn't it? We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it all: the good, the bad, the ugly. We're gonna get into it, right? That's what we do on these chats. If you're now just joining us, please, if you can share the space, like the space, I would really appreciate it. But let's just jump in here and figure out what's going on. Hold on, where is it? Let me just jump in here. Hold on. Here it is. This is what I wanted to show you. Okay, so this is from David Schwartz himself. Let's go through it. As it happens in one's life, I've been taking stock of the last 40 years. It's been a wild ride. I've gone through from consulting with the NSA to watching early stages of Bitcoin. Then I met Arthur, Jed, Chris, and worked on coding the XRP ledger. Now I spent 13 years at Ripple. I can't begin to explain the depth of gratitude to this company, the people who work here, and the community that surrounds the XRP ledger. It's been one of the greatest honors and experiences of my life, second only to my amazing family. The time has come for me to step back from my day-to-day duties as Ripple CTO at the end of this year. I'm really looking forward to spending some more time with my kids and my grandkids and going back to the hobbies I set aside. But be warned, I am not going away from the XRP community. You haven't seen the last of me now or ever. The last few months, I've been tinkering on the side, spinning on my own XRPL node and publishing its output data, researching other use cases for XRP besides what Ripple is focused on, and more. I truly enjoy this part, getting my hands dirty, talking to builders, coding for the pure love of it. And I'm really excited to get back to that. More to come on this very soon, I'm sure. But back to gratitude to Brad and Monica, leaders who have been nearly as long as I have, and my very soul, Ripple itself, to Chris, who took a huge leap of faith and never wavered, to Arthur, who had the big ideas every time we needed them, to the Ripple X team, ledger developers, community members, builders, and everyone else. It's been an honor being in the trenches with you all. Thank you for everything that you have done for the XRP ledger. I have total confidence in the next generation of leaders and builders, including Dennis Jurash, Ripple's as Senior Vice President of Engineering. Maybe this is who's going to take the job. And far too many others to name in the XRP community who will carry the torch. I'll still be in and out of the Ripple office as CTO Emirates. And the last task at Ripple, Chris asked me to join the board of directors at Ripple to continuing the support in the company's vision and long-term vision. I accept. I look forward to seeing you and the rest of the community, XRP community, at events around the world. So that's tough. That's great to hear David is moving on, but also very saddened to see David moving on. I think David's probably one of the more fun people. I like to watch his clips to better understand how his brain works and how he thinks about the XRP ledger and Ripple's goals over the last few years I've been in the crypto space. And man, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I don't know, how you guys feeling about all of this? Don't cover up your CO pick. We need good vibes, Sensei. Roger that. Roger that. We back. We back. I got you. Thank you, XRP Phantom, for reposting the stream. I really appreciate that, man. That's huge. Sveta, great to see you. He'll be back. I mean, I don't think we're losing him, but it's really sad. I was trying to record this video earlier, and I was getting emotional when I was doing it. I had to re-record it a few times. Yeah, David is stepping down. Yeah, at the end of the year, he's no longer gonna be the CTO of Ripple. Here's the community post that he put out on X today. So it is true, because like you can go to Brad Garlinghouse. Brad Garlinghouse wrote something about this. Brad Garlinghouse said let me just make sure I'm sharing my screen properly here. The smartest and maybe the funniest person I know, a true OG in crypto with the conviction and vision to see what others couldn't. You are a legend. Thank you, David, for everything that you've done for the industry and Ripple and for the XRP ledger. We are forever grateful and in all of your immense impact. I'm not taking our weekly check-ins off the calendar, though, and I'm glad you won't be too far as you join the Ripple board, continuing to impact your deep crypto wisdom and guidance on what we're building. So it is 100% happening. It is sad to see, but I look at this a few different ways, and maybe you're kind of like how I am here. Part of me is extremely sad to see him go. I think he is one of the true visionaries in the crypto space and has been since the dawn of it, right? In the early days, even before all this stuff and what he was working on, 20, 30 years ago. His ideas, you can't really replicate a David Schwartz. There's a lot of smart people at Ripple, but I think there's only one David Schwartz. And so I am sad to see him leave Ripple, but I do start to wonder maybe like, what is he interested in working on that Ripple might not be interested in that could benefit the XRP community and XRP holders, right? I think that is what I'm most excited about, for him. And obviously 13 years is a long time to be in a company. He's been traveling all around the world nonstop, giving, speeches and all of these different things. At some point, you want to be able to enjoy all of the, fruits of your labor. And so it sounds like his kids and his grandkids are very important to him, and that's what he wants to go do. And I respect that fully. But I am interested to see what he's going to be working on. Jordan, what's up, dude? You haven't missed much. We just kind of got started here. You guys are all good. Thank you for being here. He has health issues. Robert Van Der Es says he's been having health issues and has been for tests. Any way to confirm that, Robert? I mean, obviously that possibly could be something. That's really sad to hear, but we are all getting older, I think, day by day, and with that comes sickness and all of these different things that we're dealing with. XRP to moon by November 1st. Nate Rod, I like where your head's at, man. And I like where your head's at. Good, man. Everyone is going to be at that point one day. Sebastian, well said, man. Very well said, Sebastian. We got Skins checking in from Australia. What's up, Skins? Great to see you. Is there any bad news for Ripple for this? I mean, when somebody of that caliber decides to move on, I think there's good and bad, right? The bad is, how do you who do you hire to replace that person, right? How do you fill David Schwartz's shoes, right? Because it's not just bringing somebody in that understands the technological leap around the XRP ledger and adding all of these things that we can't even think of, but it's also somebody that can connect with the community in a very human to human way. And I think that is going to be one of the hardest things to fill. You can find somebody who's maybe as smart as David, but it's going to be hard to fill both of those shoes with one person. And we'll have to see how that plays out, man. He did a podcast recently and mentioned, well, thank you for mentioning that, Robert. I appreciate it. I didn't know. Ken Plummer in the house doesn't mean that he won't be a consultant. Maybe he'd rather work than talk. Maybe he'd rather work than talk. Yeah, Ken. Well, he's going to be on the board at Ripple, right? That's maybe like a golden parachute, right? They don't want to really they want his ideas to stay. And this could free up some time for him to focus on his family and his health. Yeah, I mean, there's that too. I don't think he needed a 9-to-5 10 years ago, right? I think with his early days in Bitcoin, that dude never needed to work regardless. I think he decided to do that because he was passionate, right? Luis, great to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. See here, what's Richard say? Rich Fletcher says, why leave now? Seems like he's being forced out with ETFs coming in the few weeks. You'd want Schwartz hands-on. So Rich, usually, from my experience, and just know my experience is limited in life, but usually when I've seen somebody forced out, usually they don't let that person join the board of directors, right? Because then they have an actual vote on what happens, in the company. So I don't think he's being forced out. I think, Robert, somebody in the chat mentioned that David said that he might have some health issues that he's dealing with. And, 13 years is a long time to be somewhere. So I don't think he's being forced out. I think this is what he wants. And so we got to respect that. We got to support him. Yeah. Was it good or was it bad? I don't know. I get nervous. I get nervous when people mention me. Hopefully it was good, Jordan. You tell me. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate your comment, man. Good news, man. Well, Jordan, you're gonna have to call me or something and tell me what he said. All right, let's get into a few other things here, guys, because we do have a lot of stuff to go over, and I do want to just touch base on some of this stuff before I come back and start chatting with you guys. Ripple would never burn him like that. Yeah, I think Kalev, I think as people are learning, I think as people are coming in and learning about this, I think we all have ideas of why maybe this is happening. But when we all start sharing information together, it starts to become a little bit more clear that, there might be some, health issues. There might be some things where he just wants to go and do his own thing, right? When you are a CTO of a company, you are there to serve the company. And I think David has always been a dreamer and he's always been a builder, and that's what he wants to get back to. And I can appreciate that, man. I really can. Jake didn't like some of my comments on market cap. Well, I don't like some of his comments on, a $2,000 XRP in 3 months. So all good. What did I say about market cap that he did not like? That is true. That is true. He is stepping up as board of director at Ripple. That is true. Shrimp, you have to tell me, like, send it to me on Discord if you want. I don't really care, but it's all good. I don't really want to spend too much time talking about it. All right. I thought this was a great clip talking about Bitcoin and its future. Let's just play it.
Bitcoin has characteristics gold doesn't. It's programmable. It's digital. It's infinitely scalable in terms of movement. Easy to move. You don't have to lug gold across borders.
Right. And
most importantly, I would argue it produces yield, where gold has a negative cost of carry. So if you're one of the people who are genuinely concerned that global money supply grows like 7-8% a year, and that's excessive, if you believe that's excessive and that's causing inflation, then you need assets that will beat that. A couple $1 trillion was sitting in money markets because at 5%, 4.5%, 5.5%, that's nice. You're getting close to beating your target inflation rate.
Yeah.
As rates tick down, that unlocks those assets. Now, all of it's not flowing into assets like Bitcoin, but a portion will. That's what makes us build.
Oh, okay. So here, let's just jump back into this. So he was explaining how you come up with market cap multiplier, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so market cap multiplier, right? We've had 2 examples of this already. Okay, we've had 2 examples. We've had the Bitcoin example and we've had the Ethereum example. Okay. And the reason you have a high multiplier, right? There's a host of reasons, but the main reason is lack of liquidity, right? It's an illiquid asset. And so inflows and outflows can change the market cap drastically due to that illiquid part. Okay. But what happens when you start getting liquidity, right? And how much liquidity do you need so the market cap multiplier is not as drastic? And like, you know, you can say it's infinite, but you know it's not, right? And I just look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin used to have a 25, 50x multiplier. Now it's more like 3 or 5, right? Because it has over $1 trillion in liquidity. So I know he talks about, you know, supply, circulating supply, and a few other things, but I guess we'll see who's right. I guess we'll see who's right. It's a beautiful day in Hawaii. Love that. Love that. Renee, great to see you. I saw you checking in from Holland. Great to see you, Renee. Great to see you. All right. We do have something to worry about. It's not a government shutdown. It's Jim Cramer starting to be more bullish on crypto. Gotta watch out. Gotta watch out. Here we go.
What about all the folks, especially the younger people, who say that the future is crypto?
I say crypto's fine.
How do you value that? What is the sort of process with which you would use?
Well, I'm using it as insurance, and it's an insurance against the 37 trillion that we owe. Of course, we do have a government shutdown, but at least it's not connected to a deadline involving, you know, refinancing for the government, which is really good. The government shutdown is not done at the same time as a possible cataclysm of not paying our bills. But I don't know. I think that crypto is, I'm not valuing it as fun. I'm valuing it as anti what the younger people think is our country's problems. They may know that one.
Right.
But then again, maybe my generation never has to see it, and their generation is going to have to live with what happens.
Yeah, the current generation here, like my dad's generation, probably won't see the damage maybe of overspending these last few decades, and you know, my generation and people that are younger will definitely see the whole brunt of that, and so we'll have to see how that flows. Let's see here. The Riddler says, my opinion is David's stepping down. It is insane timing with the ETFs going live. He knows something we don't. I mean, we could say that, you know, we're never going to 100% truly know unless David comes out and says it. And even when he says it, you know, he might give us an answer that we're looking to hear, right? It could be health. It could be family. It could be the want to go do something. It could be conspiratorial. We just don't know, right? Maybe it's a little bit of everything, but I don't think the ETF approval has anything to do with the timing, right? Because he is staying to the end of the year, and the ETF approval is supposed to, like, these ETFs approval is supposed to be here in October over the next few weeks. So I don't know. Appreciate the argument. You know, I appreciate the comment. I just maybe see it a little differently. Dan B. Cooper says, maybe now people won't read into every post in X that David makes containing some secret hint. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I like that. Surprised link hasn't gone up today. Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things happening right now that people are just unsure. Like, you know, we do have a government shutdown looming, and I do need to get into some information about this. So let's play this clip. This was earlier.
The state of the Democrat Party when they have a 33% favorability rating on average in recent months, and they're willing to shut down the government over healthcare.
They're shutting it down. We're not shutting it down. We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you we have $17 trillion being invested. So the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. And, you know, we're cutting that. But they want to have illegal aliens come into our country and get massive health care at the cost to everybody else, and we don't have it. And that's I would say the number one reason that they want to strike is to get illegal immigrants health care. And, you know, Gavin Newsom wants that too in California, and it's destroying California.
All right. Just really quickly, a few things here. What I understand here is Democrats are willing to risk a government shutdown in September 2025, mainly due to unresolved disputes over healthcare funding. Persistent Medicaid cuts and broader concerns of the executive overreach of President Trump. So this is why they believe they're standing up for their side. Anyways, this is going to get extremely complicated. I really don't want to spend too much time into this. I still cannot confirm President Trump's claim that $17 trillion is being invested into the United States. I don't know if anybody knows where we can find some real legitimate information on that. The real amount of investment in recent orders of magnitude smaller, official data showing it's less than 200 billion in new foreign direct investment, all from 2024. So I cannot find new investment. I've found claims of countries say that they're going to invest, but no physical investing quite yet. The origin of 17 trillion figure appears to be a combination of corporate announcements, foreign pledges, and future projections. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And then, of course, you know, there is now an 85% chance, I'm sure this is a little bit higher, of a government shutdown. The U.S. government shut down for the first time since 2018. The U.S. is about to enter a government shutdown, and investors are bracing for it. This would furlough 750,000 workers per day, costing about $400 million in compensation. What does this mean? Let's just go through this thread real quick so we can all better understand what's about to happen. The last time we entered into a government shutdown was December 2018, Trump's first term. The shutdown lasted 35 days, making it the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. The average length of a shutdown is around 8 days, and the implications spread further when it lasts longer. During a shutdown, many federal functions are suspended. Services that the government deems essential, such as related to law enforcement, continue. If an agreement is not reached by 12:01 a.m. Eastern in October 1st, the U.S. government will officially be shut down. Now, I did hear that Mike Johnson sent everybody home on the House side, so nobody's even going to be there for the next few days. So I'd imagine this is going to happen. The million-dollar question is, what does it mean for the market? Surprisingly, in rare details, the market over the long run. In fact, 86% of shutdowns saw the S&P end higher 12 months later. So, you know, a lot of people think shutdown is doom and gloom. Historically, the S&P has gone higher after shutdowns. After 12 months, 86% of shutdowns saw the S&P at higher over the next 12 months. So that's an interesting fact to know. The near-term effects bring more volatility. The S&P tends to finish higher, 55% of cases at the end of the shutdown. In the 1970s, 1980s, this typically came with a sharp downturn. However, the S&P has finished higher during every shutdown since 1995. So that's getting data to people better. I don't know. Today, Trump said that the U.S. probably have a government shutdown. Prediction markets are showing that 87% of shutdown in 9 hours from now. And this is now even closer. This is posted 3 hours. In fact, data this morning shows that the government staffers are already preparing for the shutdown. The total number of job openings in the U.S. government website plummeted 87% over the past week. Openings fell from 10,000 to just 1,300 in a matter of days after the shutdown odds surged. Meanwhile, gold is to post a 10% monthly gain and is now at 45% year to date. As the dollar does worse, gold does better. Positioning heading into the shutdown is paralyzed. The S&P posts one of the best 6-month runs in history. Short positioning is volatility is high. Net short VIX positions are the highest level since 2022. Man, a lot of things are happening here, guys. the U.S. has the highest public debt service cost in the world. U.S. net interest as a percent of total government revenue reached 13% in 2024. This marks the highest share among major world economies. By comparison, Hungary, Canada, and Italy have the net cost of debt 10, 9, and 8% respectively. Heavily indebted Japan is interest costs of just 1% of the country's benefits from relatively low interest rates. Meanwhile, the federal government has paid a record $1.2 trillion in interest on public debt over the last 12 months. Wow, we're over $1 trillion now, $1.2 trillion just to service some of this debt. It's kind of crazy. And looks like we're going to be spending more on military here in 2026. President Trump commits to spending $1 trillion in 2026 on the military. Man, I don't know. What are you guys thinking about all this stuff? Shut down the government. J-Dog says, we done. It's over. I like it. Nice, nice. David Schwartz is taking a gig on the board. Yeah, we saw that. We saw that. I don't think he's going to Emiratus. I think that's saying like he's going to be the CEO while they bring somebody else on is how I understood that. I don't think he's taking another CTO job somewhere else. At least that's what I understand. Yes, Swift did pick Linea for a pilot with banks to do messaging and a few other things via blockchain rails. Saw that. Yeah, man, I think that's something too, right? There's a lot of complication around the world right now. A lot of complication. How's this all going to affect the bottom line over the next 6 to 12 months? I think that's going to be one of the things that a lot of people are paying attention to. Marcus says a lot of healthcare issues can be resolved if you just quit eating sugar and packaged processed junk. I don't know if you've lived in America, Marcus. Packaged junk is basically what every grocery store has full of, right? And, not to get too into the weeds on this, even people that eat good still need healthcare, right? And when you're making it more difficult for those people to pay for their healthcare, I think that's some of the issue here. But I do know it's extremely complicated on both sides, and I won't try to, dictate. From what I understand is that there's been a lot of cuts to like Medicaid, Medicare, and these types of things, and those are going to hit average families pretty hard, right? And the cost of their insurance, if you're on like the Affordable Care Act, your insurance is going to go up 80%, 85% over the next 12 months. Some families might not be able to afford that. And so I think that's part of what Democrats would like to see, is some of that funding come back. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, man, we are live all the time now. I feel like I'm still exhausted. I don't know what it is. I feel like going to Brazil, I had more energy like the days after I got there. I've been back now a full week. And I cannot find energy to save my life right now. I cannot find it. Yeah, J-Dog's right here. Axelar is part of Ripple's XRPL chain. Axelar is a very important piece of the puzzle. You're absolutely right. I thought this clip was interesting too, since we're still finishing talking about this. Let me just play it.
Government shutdowns historically haven't meant much to markets or the economy. Brian, the last 6 shutdowns, GDP actually expanded. In 11 out of the last 12 shutdowns, GDP expanded. And in the last 5 shutdowns, Brian, the S&P 500 has actually climbed. So ultimately, this tends to be a big shrug of the shoulders from investors. So I do think earnings are going to be the big story. That's coming up in a couple of weeks in terms of the heart of earnings season. The consumer continues to be spending, so that's good as well. And we're going to enter a seasonally positive time for markets if we can just get through October.
If we can just get through October. Usually October is good for crypto. November, December. Remember, people do take profits in December for taxes. Just be careful. I know sometimes people don't expect that, but usually towards like the last few days of the year, some people are scrambling. Let's see here. Share Life says, is it time to get out of XRP? The news of the CTO and Swift blockchain creation has me reconsidering holding, sadly. I totally understand where you're coming from. Right? But what I would say to you is this. XRP and Ripple's vision and what they've been working on is larger than one person. Okay? But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying here. Now, Swift doing a pilot with Linea and other banks on messaging. They're also working with Consensus and 34 banks to try to, pilot and work on some of this stuff. Did you think Swift was just not going to do anything? Right? And I think you're just thinking about payments here. And I'm not just thinking about payments, right? If you're focused on Swift, you're not thinking about everything else. The tokenization of financial products, money market funds, repo markets, the settlement of the stock market, the bond market, the derivative market. That's where a lot of value is. And, it would suck to lose the battle for payments, but it's not the entire battle. So I understand where you're coming from. And if you think that these things are a reason for you to get out of XRP, then you need to follow what your heart is telling you, right? Obviously, if you need help with this, you need to talk with a financial advisor, somebody that understands crypto and XRP, but you got to do what you think is best in life, right? It could go really good for you, or XRP could skyrocket in October and it could go really bad for you. You just got to weigh out those options. Do the Ben Franklin close, right? Benefits and what is it? The benefits? Ben Franklin close. Ben Franklin close. It's the benefits and the, oh God, what is it? I used to do this when in real estate, right? Or not really. Well, you can do it in real estate too, but man, you just list how it works, close technical, present it correctly. Anyways, the positives and the negatives, right? List the positives and the negatives and go through it. Swift is late. I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, I mean, I know there's some people who are regardless if Brad leaves or David leaves or whoever leaves, they're still going to be believers, right? We know that we're moving to a new system. We know that has been in motion for a very long time. Okay. That new system, Ripple is the largest interconnected or connected financial market infrastructure for blockchain technology on the planet. So I'm not going to bet against them. I'm not going to bet against them. Right. I think they're in a very good position personally. And I'm excited to see what the next few years brings for us. Yeah, Jake is banking on derivatives. Yeah, I get that. I get that. What about October ETFs being withdrawn by the SEC? So I think what you're talking about is the SEC was making it easier for institutions to file for ETFs, right? That they don't have to go through this waiting period, or it was the 19B. I think I know what you're talking about. Let me see if I have a tweet thread on that. Hold on. Hold on. I think I kind of know what you're asking me about. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get you some additional context here. Hold on. All right. Let me pull this up for you. Okay, so the concern here is the ETF, SEC withdrawing ETFs. Okay, so here, check this out. The SEC has dramatically streamlined the process for approving crypto exchange traded funds, ETFs, by introducing a new generic listing standards. So where you see, Patrick, where you see them withdrawing some of these ETFs, it's actually the reason they're doing that is because the SEC has made it even easier for institutions to now file ETFs. Okay. So here, let's continue reading here. These standards allow exchanges to list commodity-based ETFs, including those tied to cryptocurrencies, without a lengthy, individualized SEC review that was required for each product. What changed? Previously, ETF issuers had to submit both a 19B4 filing to request a rule change for exchange listing and an S1 registration outlining the ETF structure, creating significant delays, often up to 240 days. With the new generic listing standards approved in September 2025, issuers only need to file for the S1, and the 19B4 process has become meaningless, and the regulatory bottleneck of crypto ETFs has been removed. So technically, Patrick, it's now way easier for these products to hit the market. And that's what you're seeing. So I hear, like, without having that context, I can understand why you think we're going the wrong way here. But really, the reason they're kind of removing these is because now it's easier to get this done. I hope that helps you. Richard, great to see you, dude. What's up? Is the question was the government shutdown will delay ETFs? That's a great question. That's a question I don't have an answer to. Let's find out, dude. Let's see if Lexi can tell us. If the government is shut down October, crypto. That is an interesting question. I'm so glad somebody asked that. Let's find out. A potential government shutdown in October would likely delay crypto ETF approvals, including those for XRP. But most SEC operations would pause and staff would be furloughed. So yes, it could impact. Red Panda, you're absolutely right. Not a lot of people are thinking about that. Maybe I will do a video about that. I think that's good eyes on that. Great eyes on that. Let's see here. Renee says, Sensei, in October, Japan banks will go live with XRP. Do you have any form of confirmation, I think is what you're asking me for. I know that there is a consortium of over 60 Japanese banks that are connected to Ripple and XRP. And I think out of I think there's 200 different types of banks in Japan, right? I mean, there's thousands of branches, but like 200 main, like SBI or Shimitomo or whatever. I believe that a large portion of those banks have the ability to use RippleNet and XRP and RLU, and will have RLUSD through SBI. Is there anything that says 100% definitely that these banks will start using it? No, right? Because then you would need 200 different banks, right? Because when I've looked at this, hold on, how many banks in total are there in Japan? Branches and what would you call it? Let's just try this first. I think when I researched this about 6 to 8 months ago, it was closer number to 200. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, so here you have 5 city banks, 61 regional banks. You have 36 second association regional banks, full member banks, 112. But then you have Banks of Japan statistics, bank accounts 131, 47 licensed. So it's it's hard to get this exact number, but it looks like there's actually a smaller number now. Hold on. The figure of 112th, the most widely cited for domestically licensed. Okay, so if you're taking domestically licensed and then international banks, you're more like closer to 170 total. So a lot of those banks are in fact connected. Will they start using it? It's really impossible to know, Renee. Each bank doesn't say, hey, this is when we're going to do this, right? And so it's very difficult to get that exact information. Patrick, I still think those ETF dates are valid, right? But something could happen that those dates become meaningless. I think it's better that I spend a little time to better understand the ramifications that Red Panda just brought up. And then I'll make a video. I'll make sure the video gets out tomorrow. Okay. So if you can keep an eye out for tomorrow's content, I will make sure that I have something there that answers some of these questions for you. Okay. I need to spend a little bit of time to do a little bit more due diligence myself. Really wasn't thinking about the government shutdown affecting ETFs. Now that I am, so I need to spend some time understanding that. Okay. But I appreciate the question and I will work to get that answer for you. Yeah, guys, like I hold on. Did Tristan Thompson get a hold of you for a live interview? No, dude. That would be cool though. That'd be cool. I would interview Tristan Thompson. I don't know, man. I'm just a small little channel on YouTube, you know, like we don't have millions of subscribers or something like that. You know, I don't think people of a certain caliber care too much, but if he was ever interested in coming on and talking about his crypto journey, I would give him a platform. I sent him a message to send it. Here, Curtis is trying to clear this up a little too, Patrick. It says, Patrick, basically, you weren't allowed to have an ETF until they released a futures product. So they could review the success of the product over a 90-day period. They basically said, we don't need to. Yes, this is also a good point. So you need to have a futures product that's live in order to go through this faster approval process. I'm almost positive, right? Let me see here. Don't you need to have a futures version or the spot version to be approved? I'm pretty sure you need to have the futures version. Let me pull this up. Yeah. So under the current SEC rules for spot crypto ETF approval, the underlying digital asset typically needs to have an established futures market. So if you are interested to know what cryptocurrencies apply for this, well, let's just ask. There are currently 200 crypto ETF products awaiting approval. Qualify under these new rules. List the assets. I got you. We'll get this going, man. We're trying to work it out. So Paul Barron, he records at very interesting times. Like he's on the East Coast. And the time that he wants to record is like, it's either like 4 a.m. for me, or it's like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening for me. And I am neither my best self at those times. Usually I'm waking up like 5:36. Some days like I'm trying to get out of bed, and it's like 6:30. But towards the evening time, like 5 to 6 o'clock, it's usually when I eat dinner, and then like I go to start to lay down because I've been going for 12 hours, 13 hours, and I'm fried usually. So I'm trying to work it out with his assistant, and I need to get back to them about some times, trying to get that done. Thank you so much for reposting the stream, Unify. Really appreciate you, man. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. So Patrick says, good new for crypto going forward. Still frustrating, only a few weeks from launch. Patrick, I think when we're trying to look for, walls or things that are like preventing us from getting someplace, I think when we see all these different things happening, we think that maybe it involves the thing that we want it to be involved with, but really it's just like, I think it was just timing on the SEC probably didn't want to look at hundreds of different filings, right? Because that's what you're talking about. Hundreds of different filings, hundreds of different votes, hundreds of different answers. That is a lot of work. And their goal at the SEC isn't, it is to approve products like this, but it's also to do enforcement and other things. And I think streamlining the process is going to make it easier for institutional adoption of these products. And I think that's what we're really most excited about. So will it play in the short term? We're going to see, but I think it'll be beneficial for all of us in the future. So Joseph Kelly says, if the government shuts down, do you think XRP could go below $2.60? So Joseph, I have no, dude, I wish I had any control over what's about to happen. I have no idea. There's a lot of politics going on both sides, and both sides are taking a stand here, and we have no idea how that's going to play out. And we don't know if that's going to negatively impact markets in the short term. Usually when you get uncertainty and turmoil, it's never good for markets. But if you look at the history of previous shutdowns, government shutdowns, a lot of those shutdowns turned into positive growth in the stock market over the next 12 months. And we went through some of that information maybe like 20 minutes ago. If you're interested in learning about that, I'll also post a thread here. If you're just like, let's say I just want to read something. I want to look at a thread on all of this. Let me post this thread in the chat for you. That's a good thread to go through to better understand maybe what markets are going to do. But you never know, man. XRP and the rest of the market could go down another 10 or 15% if we get some really crazy, unstable ground to stand on. People could panic a little bit, but I do think this will all get worked out as it usually does. All right. But it is a little nerve-wracking here. So Travis Williams says, at first I was a bit worried, but after reading his X post, so we're talking about David Schwartz here, outpouring of support and love towards him, I now feel curiously optimistic and excited that we are behind the scenes finish line and has been crossed for the initial parts and goals have been met. Soon all the work will be revealed and the systems will be a go. He will advise and monitor from the board. Travis, thank you for sharing that with us, man. I think the community has given him a lot of love and support, and I think he will always have that, man. I think he will always have that. Rob, you need a live crypto AI sensei bot that can do all your extra podcasts early morning and dinner time. I know, like I've interviewed so many AI companies at this point that I interviewed a really interesting character yesterday. His name is Jordan Fieldstein or Feinstein. He is the founder of Reply Corp, and he's got some interesting tech. I was really intrigued by that interview yesterday. If you missed that, go back and take a look. But there have been a few projects recently in the AI space that I could set up an AI sensei. I might just do that. People would need to use it though, but it'd be pretty cool. Oh, we got Turk Pusher here. Great to see you, Turk. Crypto will always go down if it has any reason to do. Yep, that's true, man. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Great to see you, man. Recon Medic Scout says 18 days before we know if the ETF is approved. It's October 18th. I think there might be one before that, but I believe it's October 18th to the 25th. Red Panda says he thinks 260 is the bottom, but that's his opinion. And Streamer University comes in with the XRP will hit 10,000. I like it. I like the energy, Streamer. I like it. If you were here with 15 cents, 17 cents, 20 cents, and 25 cents, for example, then you have nothing to complain about. It's only gone up. Well said, Renee. Well said. I think 10K would be pretty crazy. Yeah, Ariana has cleaned up. I don't know if you guys have noticed that in the videos, like every video I do, Ariana is there cleaning up the chat. So if you ever, if you want to make Ariana smile and you want to make her happy, when you leave a comment, say something nice to her. I would greatly appreciate you guys sharing some extra love and support for her, because she has been doing an incredible job. And I wouldn't be able to keep this channel straight without all of her hard work and some other people that work behind the scenes to get all of this done. So really, really big shout out to her. Yeah, I mean, crypto, we haven't seen a 50% retracement, in a while. I remember like, God, I felt like the 2020, 2021 cycle, we had like 3 or 4 different, adjustments in the market where things just dropped and people panicked hard. And it was hard to hold through those, especially if you're not used to it. Always, always, you deserve it. You are incredible. Thank you so much for all your help. All right, we do have a little bit more stuff to talk about here. So let's just jump into this. So the SEC is pushing to allow stocks to trade on chain. It feels good when we've been right all along about this, and now we're just seeing those things kind of take place. The SEC Crypto Task Force met with the NYSE, and Intercontinental Exchange to discuss crypto regulation, including crypto derivative products and tokenized equities trading. So this is actually pretty big news. We all know that the markets are heading on chain, and Gemini commented here, 24/7 global markets are the new standard. The unfortunate part is it's not 24/7, right? Because we've heard from the CEO of the NASDAQ that even most of these markets are still going to be, in this, like tokenized stocks are still going to be, Monday through Friday. I think it'll be 24/7 Monday through Friday, but closed weekends still. So we're still not quite there yet, but we are going to get to that point. And I think this is where a lot of value can come from. And so Nate Garossi said the world's largest stock exchange just met with the SEC Crypto Task Force, right? He goes on to say here, the topic, you guessed it, tokenized equities. I know you're paying attention. Let's go ahead and read what he's highlighting here. Considerations regarding trading of tokenized equities and structures for facilitating such trading. Legal and regulatory considerations implicated by tokenization of equities, regulatory treatment of specific models of tokenization, regulatory process for enabling implementation of new models. It says definition of facility, discussion of what constitutes a facility of an exchange, interpretation of facility, and the concept of potential tokenizing and trading models. So they're trying to line up and get the verbiage correct here for these markets. 24/5. There you go. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you, Longfellow. Appreciate that. And then here are the dates for the ETFs. So somebody was just asking for like an update. This is from the 25th of September. So this is 5 days old. And so this is kind of what we're looking at here still. Bitwise, Canary Capital, 21 shares, Wisdom Tree, pending. You also have Grayscale CoinShares, Franklin Templeton. This is actually 1.7 trillion now. This is risen. You've got to update that. And then you have, hashtags, 2Cream, Rex shares. This is all live already. So definitely a lot of products itching to make their way. Also, this is something that I saw, Mr. Mann was highlighting this from March 2025, modernizing payments to form America's bank account. And so Mr. Mann was trying to make some connections here. Executive order modernizing payments to the America's Bank's accounts kicks in today, September 30th, 2025. Phase 3, out of the paper check disbursements and receipts effective September 30th, 2025, and to the extent permitted by law, Secretary of the Treasury shall cease issuing paper checks for all federal. So looks, they're getting rid of checks. Remember we talked about this like a few years ago? I said they're going to get rid of checks one day, and then they're going to get rid of your credit cards, like your debit cards. Those will become a thing of the past too. And they're going to get rid of your paper money and coin money. That'll be a thing of the past as well, but that'll take longer. But here you go, checks, seizing operation for checks, vendor payments, tax refunds, except for specified in Section 4 of this order, all executive departments and agencies shall comply with the directive by transitioning to EFT methods, including direct deposit, prepaid card accounts, and digital payment options. Interesting. Chad Steingraber was highlighting a few things here too. Eleanor Terrett highlighted this. The SEC has issued a no action letter saying investment advisors can use state charter trust companies as qualified custodians for crypto assets. What does this mean? Under the Investment Advisors Act of 1940, advisors must keep client assets with a qualified custodian, usually a bank or trust company with a nationally fiduciary powers. This guidance gives investment advisors and registered funds comfort that they can use a state trust company to custody assets. This additional clarity was needed because state charter trust companies were not universally seen as eligible custodians for crypto assets. Brian Daly, director of SEC's Division of Investment Management, told me, under the new staff guidance, state charter trust companies can now qualify for crypto custody if investment advisors, due to their due diligence, and deem it in clients' best interest. Why does this matter? It opens the door for more players in the crypto custody market, as well as broader access to funds or crypto custody. Players such as Coinbase, Ripple, through standard custody, BitGo, Wisdom Tree funds, and other will be recognized as qualified custodians. This is a staff letter. So at some point, this topic could be addressed by future rulemaking. So interesting. So it looks like they're trying to, make it easier for companies like Ripple to help custody some of these assets. And then so Chad Steingraber was highlighting this post saying standard custody, Ripple, New York Trust Charter. Ripple gained standard charter, New York Trust Charter, adding to its collection of licenses, which is already included in the U.S. money transfer or transmitter licenses with major payment institutions, also known as MPI in Singapore. So I'll probably have to make a video on all that too. Do I believe in the 589? I believe that there are people very well connected that probably know what's going to happen. Do I believe somebody's from the future and they came back and they're dropping riddles and hints? I don't know. That's a little bit more. That's a little bit sci-fi. But I do think there are people that can make really smart, educated guesses. And some of these people have some of the timelines of when some of this stuff is going to take place. And, if you have the timelines and you know what's going to take place, you can definitely drop hints years in advance on some of these things. Hard to say if Bearable Guy is like, what do you think, Red Panda? You think he's from the future? Like, you tell me. Mark XRP, what is worrying to you? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Mark Bryan says, I appreciate this video a lot. Solid crypto guidance really changes the game. I managed to hit a 21K in gains within the last 28 days. Couldn't be happier right now. Mark, huge, man. Rock and roll, man. Make that money. Love to hear people doing being successful in the crypto space. Let's see, your take on if and when real assets, land, housing, buildings get tokenized like the buy thing. So when I've researched this, they're only talking like 16 trillion by 2030. 16 trillion out of, quadrillions. When I research this, I find that jurisdictions, countries still have some outdated laws. And those laws need to be updated. So when something is sold via blockchain rails, that value moves, both the digital representation, digital twin moves, as well as what happens in real life. And how do you interconnect all of those systems? And how do you interconnect all of those governments and counties and states and whatever? That's the hard part. Also, when we're talking about land, housing, buildings, having the deed for land, housing, and buildings, kind of useless. Excuse me. if you're trying to talk about price appreciation for XRP, just having the deeds, the paperwork, isn't going to do much at all for us other than a transaction. You know, I sold this to somebody, the transaction needs to be sent, the title goes, great. The value of the land needs to be represented on chain. Okay. Now, how they do that is going to matter. Okay. If we want to see higher values for tokenized assets, those assets need to be backed by something like XRP, right? So let's say you had $1 million house on chain. How does that value, how is that represented? How is that value represented on chain, and what backs that value, right? Is it a mortgage, right? So if somebody had a mortgage on $1 million house, it was a, you know, $800,000 mortgage. If that value lived on the XRP ledger with that transaction, right, that could be hugely beneficial to XRP's future price. If you don't, if you're not able to actually have the value on chain, you're not going to see the benefits of that. You could bring a $10 trillion worth of titles on chain, but if it has no value, it has no value. That's the hard part. So you would need to lock up XRP, right? If you had like an $800,000 mortgage, maybe the bank would need to provide whatever the collateral is. Or this is kind of how this is what I'm looking for when I start to see tokenization products and these things. I'm trying to understand how the value is represented, and will there be collateral for that value represented on chain? That's what you need to look at. There are a lot of scammers. There are. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. All right, Mark, I can see you down there. Are you ready? I can't hear you. You got to give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Just tell me when you are. Just give me one of those and I'll bring you up. I did want to bring I had Mark and his team on, what was this, right before I went on vacation. But when he jumped on, we weren't able to get the links for his project properly in the description of the video. It was just a timing thing. And I wanted to give him another shot at showing you what he's been working on and getting the links to you guys, because I know some people were asking for those. You good? All right, let me bring up Mark and he can explain what's going on here. Mark, what's up, man?
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Great to see you. Glad you're with us again.
It's been a minute. How's things?
Oh, dude, I'm tired, man. Getting back from the trip, I didn't think I would be this tired, but I'm struggling to find energy. So I'm glad you're here, man. You're gonna help me take a little break.
No pressure. Yeah, awesome.
Why don't you, because I know there's people that might have seen you from a few weeks ago, but there's probably people that don't know who you are. So maybe a really quick tidbit, 30 seconds, 60 seconds of who you are and what you represent and why you're here.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Mark Tulloch. I've been investing in Bitcoin crypto since 2016. I started building in Web3 around 2020. So myself and a group of guys launched the world's first veteran DAO. We initially were in NFTs. We sold out a bunch of NFT collections, then got involved in fractionalized crypto mining. And yeah, more recently, I went through the Bitcoin Startup Lab Accelerator program. And yeah, we're now building a Bitcoin DeFi product.
And how long have you been building the product? Where's the product at today? Have you tested the product? Does it work? Why should people be interested in your product?
Yeah, sure. So we've gone through duration. How long we've been building it? I think technically like close to a year. But the initial parts of that, probably the first 3 to 4 months, was going through discovery. So the process when you go through the Bitcoin Startup Lab, you go through quite an extensive discovery process of trying to find like a really big problem within the market. And so initially what we were building, because we've got an AI PhD in our team called Trung, initially what we were building was like the cursor for Bitcoin. So I guess a DevOps program where people who wanted to build products would be able to just like prompt into this interface and then build dApps in Bitcoin. What we found is that there wasn't enough demand from the builder ecosystem at this point of where we are in the market. There's not that many people building apps really in Bitcoin specifically. So we ended up pivoting over then to a yield-based product. Mm-hmm. And then that didn't get the demand that we thought it would, basically because like the thing that's going on in, I guess, Bitcoin DeFi is extremely fragmented. Like there's a lot of layer 2 products coming out now, but there's dozens of layer 2s. There's, obviously treasuries, there's mining, there's like just traditional Bitcoin on an exchange. So there was like lots of different, I guess, areas where we were trying to pull together the different yield products. Mm-hmm. And because it's not like EVM where everything's using the same technology, it was just extremely challenging to aggregate all of those different yield products. So but the thing that's been really good about it is we've piggybacked the technology, and the whole way along we've been building this, I call it like a Bitcoin brain, an intelligence layer where we're building out a language model and data points to figure out what's going on in Bitcoin. So after those two, I guess, concepts, and anyone who's built a startup knows that you go through, but we were like, okay, let's go back to customers and people we're working with and figure out what is the actual biggest problem with Bitcoin? Like what is the problem that people are facing? And the problem really was everyone gets like, and I've been through this twice, like I'm working, I'm building, I've got, 4 kids. It's this whole thing that we go through when the bull run eventually stops, which we know it will. A lot of people face that problem where they just didn't have their eyes on the ball, and that's why people are in cryptonaires, like if you're on point and you're in cryptonaires and you're on the ball and you know exactly when to exit your positions, that's great. But the reality is a lot of people don't do that, and then they just go back and they'll check the markets and maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, and Bitcoin's literally gone from say 120 down to 77. Yeah, and that frustrates a lot of people. So the thesis is really simple. Like, how do we create an algorithm and a product that when the market goes from 120 down to 170, down to 77, how do we catch it at like, say, 118, 117? And then on the way up, when it's going from 77 and starting to climb back up to where we are now, which is like 112, 140, how do we catch it at 82? So that was really the premise of the product. And the reason why I got really interested in this is I know it's not science fiction because I've been like following a lot of quant analysis guys who do it. Like that's their trade and that's their profession. But so I follow guys like Willy Woo who do this for a job. But the problem with those guys, you can't get access to them, and to be even get access to their knowledge and what they do and their analysis, you need to invest like a minimum of $1 million as a high net worth individual into their hedge funds. So the premise is, and I think this is like, it always goes back to this thing of like, we're veterans, is how do we help the little guy get access to this quant analysis so that anybody can get access to this? And until we had AI agents and large language models, it really wasn't possible. Like, you needed a full team. You needed a team of like 10 quant analysis guys. You need mathematicians. You need the best people in the world to look at the data. But now it's, through AI and what we've built, it's become possible.
So let's do this quick elevator pitch. What have you built? What is the impact, and what has been the overall opinion of people using the product already? Like, has it been successful? Like, talk to us about, the key points. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. So What we built is a Bitcoin smart savings platform where people who dollar cost average into Bitcoin, who are already doing it, you'll be able to deposit your funds into this platform. It will go into institutional custody through BitGo. And essentially how the algorithm works is it transfers your Bitcoin into stable coins near the top, and then it rebuys back into Bitcoin at local market bottoms. So it's essentially a swing trading rebalancing algorithm. What we've built is we've done the back testing. So over the past 5 years, it outperformed just standard DCA by 833%. So we built out this algorithm, the data points. What we're now building is a UI UX which interfaces with BitGo. So we aren't on ramping funds at the moment. Mm-hmm. We're literally using our own funds, and we've back tested and we're continuing to forward test with our own funds. But we anticipate, that we'll be taking on funds in the next probably 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how auditing goes once we've, got the UI completed.
What's the goal then today? What are you trying to, you're communicating with the community, you're trying to get people to come into the community and be a part of this. Like what is the thing that we're trying to achieve today?
Yeah, sure. So what we've had, people, as we've gone out and when you're looking to build out any sort of startup, you're out there looking for venture capital and angel investors to get involved in your product and help you to build it. Now, what we have had is there's a couple of private equity groups. So one's called Gem Digital. You can look these guys up. Another one's called Bolts Capital. So they've offered us essentially they want to buy into our token, and both have offered up a facility of buying $20 million worth of our token. So we're going to have a TGE or a token launch fairly early in the piece to build out our treasury through these private equity groups. And what we're doing initially is, and I know this is where your community will be really interested, Rob, is essentially we've got a private VIP round pre-sale on our token where, you'll be coming into a project where we've got deals with private equity groups. We've already got listings arranged through MEXC and Kraken, and we're going to launch a token. It's got a really great product behind it because we really want to build a product. And we have a round of, essentially we're doing a small raise, and people will be able to get in on a pre-sale on a token.
Talk to me about why did you need a token? What does the token do as the utility for the project? To help us better understand that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, why we need a token, and I think this goes back to, and I know you got on crypto around the same time as I did. The whole thesis behind an ICO back in the day was how do we build out a product and not have to go to VC who own, part of your equity. And so that's the premise is, okay, rather than us going to VC and selling off a chunk of our equity, we've got private equity groups they're not interested in owning equity in our company. They want to buy into the token. And it's a way for us to build out our treasury and essentially have enough money to really build the product and then build up our initial assets under management. That's why we are going down this pathway of launching a token rather than going down the VC route. Now, the benefit of the token is, so we're operating on a hedge fund model, so it'll be a 2% fee on all assets under management. And then a 20% hedge fund model, which is if you're not familiar, how hedge funds work is people deposit funds and there's a performance fee on profits. So we're not doing a performance fee on profits. We're doing a performance fee on gains over and above standard DCA. So we know people were doing dollar cost averaging anyway. So, and if you just make money because the market went up, we don't think that's a reason to pay fees on it because there was no work really went into that. It's like when we outperform standard dollar cost averaging through our algorithm, there'll be a 20% performance fee, and that will be used to provide 33% of it will be used to provide yield back to our token holders. So essentially, we're building up this community who are coming in, making it possible through getting involved in the token, and then we're cycling that back to our token holders.
Okay, I love that. So you're raising money here because you don't want to give a bunch of the equity to a VC where they are kind of going to be able to control what the vision of the project is. You want to do this kind of through the community, and I respect that. I think that's how a lot of this stuff should be, and so you guys can retain ownership of the technology and what you guys want to do going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And if groups do want to come in, that's cool. Coming back the token, and like believe in what and I'm talking about, because as you grow, like these private equity groups, they're big companies, but to give a bit more, I think the fear with VC, and I've experienced this, is essentially a VC gets in on a token launch early, and I know you would have seen this many times, Rob, is they essentially dump on people as they come in, right? And that's the whole fear of getting in after VC, is that they've bought up the token. Now, the really cool thing about these private equity groups, they want the token to go up because there's terms within the agreements that they can't short the token, and they also can't sell below the floor price and the initial buy price. So there's a huge incentive for us to just continue to drive the value. So yeah, and the other mechanism that we're using, because I look at when I see tokens that launch and then they dump it, it's depressing, and it's not what you want, and sometimes it's out of your control. But I look at tokens like, okay, Hyperliquid, and of course, like, it's a really widely used product, but one of the mechanisms that they use to ensure that they've stabilized their token is they do buybacks on their token from their DEX fees. So what we're doing is utilizing the 2% asset under management fee to do buybacks on our tokens. So we're really, just focused on, like, let's get the performance of the token going really well.
Let's take a look at the document that we put into the description. So what is all this stuff? What should people be most focused on? They're listening to what you're saying here. They're interested in learning more. Where should they start here? Like, you got Telegram, you got tokenomics. There's a pitch deck in here. Here's the back testing information. Where does somebody start?
Yeah, I think it depends on, well, hopefully you are doing your research. I know a lot of people just sort of go off FOMO or vibes or what have you, but I'd like to think, people are like you and I, like when I was getting into projects, I would read the white paper. So we do have a Git book, which you'll be able to find through these links. I would read every word within the white paper as a starting point. I would then go through the back testing document so that you can get a really good understanding of, what has been the performance of it, and then also understand the tokenomics. Now because you'll see within the tokenomics, there's different stages of the TGE. The initial stage is this private token sale where we're out, raising some initial capital through a private sale of the token. Then we're going to be launching onto a DEX launchpad. So we're already fairly well advanced with creator bid, and we'll probably use one other DEX launchpad, which will then lead into centralized exchange listings. So yeah, I think I would read it all, me personally, but I know a lot of people don't. I don't know why, but I would just say, like, it's probably probably 20 to 30 minutes worth of reading. If you're going to invest money into anything, like, read all of it.
The valuation of $20 million. Where did you guys come up with the figure?
Which part of the valuation?
right here. Valuation. Am I not reading that correct? Round details, seed, VIP round, valuation 20 million.
Yeah. I think that's actually we need to update that. That's a little bit outdated. So the private sale, the initial TG, like the private sale that we're talking about, is the valuation's set at 5 million.
Got it. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, the DEX, that's actually referring to the DEX round, which will be 20 million.
Got it.
And then it goes all the way up. The deal that we have with the private equity groups, the fully diluted value is they're buying 10% of the token at 20 million. So it will skip all the way up to 200 million FDV as we hit our different targets.
When is this all happening, right? Because you might have said it, but my ADHD brain sometimes misses key points and details, and I have to come back all the time. So when is this launching, and like when people should be participating, getting into this?
Yeah, you and I both, Rob. So I think like everything is a little bit fluid and depending on funding. So we have secured MEXC. So, and I guess this is good transparency for people to know where money goes when they're putting in funds. Is this going for Mark to go on a holiday to Bahamas? And no, like that. And this has been, and if you ever do get out and launch a project, there's significant costs with listing. So like a lower tier exchange, and there's still a tier 2 exchange, like MEXC. So for example, like that, the output on that's probably in the range of 60 to 80K USDT that you're going to have to outlay to those guys. Then when you go to someone like Gate.io, they're in the vicinity of 350 to 400K USDT. So the initial raise is essentially like pretty much like 90% of it will go to listings, and market makers, listings, and a little bit of go to market for us to essentially just get the token boosting. And that's what brings organic volume into the token and interest. So yeah.
Okay. And then, so if people want to participate, like the best way that they can start getting and engaging with the community is what, like, where do people need to go? Is there an X account or a Telegram account? What do you want me to share with people here? Or is it everything in the documents?
Yeah, it's in the documents, but what I would say is come through to the Telegram, the TG. So it's t.me/Satoshi agent. You can also hit me up on Telegram. Like my name's really easy. It's at Mark Tulloch on Telegram. So find me. For those who don't, can find me on Telegram. So yeah, Satoshi Agent Telegram group. Come in there, ask. We've already got like a really good crew of people who are coming in on the VIP round. Well, then if you come in and you decide to, we'll send you all of the collateral, all the information, read through it, make sure you do. And then we'll put you into a VIP group, which will, and then we'll have a build up. I'd anticipate, and I think I didn't answer this directly. I'd anticipate 8 weeks, till we actually do the token launch. We've had really good traction on the initial raise. So MEXC's already covered. We just need a little bit more funding to get Kraken covered. And then there's no point in holding off after that. We just get the community humming and go from there.
Anything else that we need to know, Mark, before we let you go?
No, I think that's it. I just say, yeah, thanks, Rob, for having us back on. It's been a little while since I saw you, and it's really encouraging. Like, I mean, I've known you since I got into the space in like 2020, and there's just so many people who have dropped off and stopped building. It's crazy. There's so many fly-by-night people, and we've just been steadily building the whole time for the past 5 years, and it's really cool to see you're still here providing value to your community. So
no, Mark, I always appreciate what you guys are doing. You invited me into your community for and I was giving chats, and we were, communicating and talking about the market years ago. And it's just incredible to see you guys are still here. You're still building. And dude, I wish you all the success in the world. And I want you to come back and tell me how much you guys are killing it here over the next few months. And the community wishes you well. I did post in the description of this video, if you're listening on YouTube, there's a link, a Google Drive that has all of the documents I just showed you here, just to show you this one more time. All of these documents, if you're interested in taking a look here, please jump in and start, going through this to better understand it. If you need to reach out to Mark and his team, if you're interested in participating, it's on you to do that. So Mark, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time once again. And I'm rooting for you, man. Always.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, mate.
All right, man. Cheers. All right, guys, go participate. It's always incredible to be able to support community-driven products and things and projects that, you got a lot of hardworking people from around the world, veterans, trying to build something cool and unique in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I'm always rooting for people like Mark, and I really want him to succeed. No shutdown. Are we already at the point where they caved? Who caved? Stop it. Did the people already cave? No. Vincent, great to see you, man. Always good to see you, dude. I hope you're well, Vincent. Hold on. Let me just make sure here. Senate Democrats just voted to send the government into a shutdown. It didn't. It's still going on. 12 minutes. The thing that I don't understand is I don't understand how, and maybe this is a dumb question. Maybe you know what? I'm not going to ask that question. If Robert from 12 months ago, he would have asked that question, but I'm just going to stay away from it. I don't want any part of this. Any thoughts on the new yield opportunities? How much percent of holdings? Okay. So BJ, hey, first of all, thanks for being here, man. Great to have you here. Thank you for asking this question. I think what you're talking about here is getting yield for your XRP, whether that's maybe through like a stable coin, like RLUSD, one of those products, or directly providing your XRP to a platform like Flare or some of these other ones like Strobe Finance and getting a percentage. Okay. I know in the XRP space, there are a few kinds of people. There's one kind of people that never trust anybody or anything with their XRP and will not provide any type of liquidity. But there's also the other type of person who is looking for 5%, 8%, or whatever it is on their money, right? And so any product that you decide to look at, understand everything that you can about that product, okay? Especially what happens if that company has an accident or a security failure, or like what happens to your XRP? Can you get your XRP back? Right? That's probably one of the first questions I'd want to find out. If you have to unstake your XRP or pull it out, what are those fees looking like, and how quickly can you do that? Right? That's like, those are the top two questions that just come to mind. Other questions are like, is this company trustworthy? Are they in the United States? Are they in whatever? Or do they have the proper licensing? Do they have the proper partner? Like, obviously there's 100 other things that we can go through, but understanding like who, where is your XRP? What is it being used for? Usually it's like lending and borrowing. So you are providing your XRP, and they, people will lend against that, borrow against that, your XRP, and you get a percentage of the fees that the platform generates. So you just need to understand the full ramifications of all of that before you jump in, right? I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Honestly, I'm just vibing here, man. I'd like to see my XRP worth a whole lot more. And then I'll kind of figure out what I want to do from there. But if I can get 5-6%, I don't have to, take my XRP and do anything else with it. I could just keep it on chain and get it through one of these platforms. That'd be really interesting. That'd be really interesting. Yeah. MXRP. I bet that thing topped out really quickly, right? I think they had $18 million in TVL, just got sucked up very quickly. I think you're going to see more and more things like that. But I do I see veterans in the XRP space warning about some of this stuff, but I also see people going full-fledged into it. You just got to understand everything before you jump in, right? Take the time, understand where your money is going, what's happening to it, because, you know, I can't tell you how many times in the crypto space somebody has said this company is bulletproof. You know, nothing's going to happen to this company. You know, this. I mean, if you were in crypto in 2020 and you heard the name FTX, they were on stadiums, you know, rate, like everywhere you looked, it was FTX. I mean, you know, you had athletes, professional, whatever, celebrities, all promoting it. And then it turns out to be some shady stuff going on behind the scenes, right? So you always have that human factor. Like, you just got to figure out who those humans are that you're participating with, and like, what is their history. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but there's also a lot of risk with that opportunity. Understand the risks. Billy Becht. Not sold on any yield products yet on XRP. There's a lot of upside still this market. And as long as the upside potential is greater than the potential yield, I'm gonna hodl. Yeah, that's another great point, Billy. I think there's still a lot, like, my XRP needs to be worth more before I'm really interested in trying to use it for products, I think. Cheers from Canada, the Grudge, or the Gudge. The Gudge? The Gudge? Is Gudge a name? Gudge, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Kate says, I won't stake until rules and regulations are final after the crash. That is a great point, Kate. That is a really good point. Kate wants to have everything, all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. I used to mix that up. I always used to say, like, all the T's dotted and the I's crossed. I don't know. My brain is wired weirdly, I guess. But I hear what you're saying, Kate. Yeah. Ron Jid says, just like asking questions and it wasn't escape the matrix. Yeah. So we just got to get out, dude. We got to get out. Is the shutdown live on YouTube? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'd imagine there's probably some account, some White House account streaming it. But I'm just not going to pay attention to it, man. Like, it's a very complicated system, and you have people with just completely different beliefs on total two ends of the spectrum, and you have all of the craziness in between. It's just everyone's throwing crap at each other, and I just don't want any part of it. Aloha Sensei, I'm fully badged up on my XRP, awaiting the boom. We all need to start pre-planning strategies before the rise. Don't get caught knowing what your plan is. Don't get caught not knowing what your plan is. That is a great piece of information, Big Kahuna. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's always good that people pre-plan and have an understanding of where to go and what to do once something does happen, right? You know, some people are like, you know what? I'll wait for the money to come in first, right? But also having a plan of action is very smart. You should be kind of setting up your LLCs and everything else that you're trying to do to make sure things go to plan. I know that is one of the things that I've heard mentioned 100 times, but I do know when I look at what's been done to, like, see, like, how do I talk about this without pissing off half the population? You can't. I'll refrain from my opinion. Do you think there's a way HBAR and XRP will work with each other? I think all of this is going to work with each other. It all is going to need to interconnect. So is there going to be collaboration between Ripple and Hedera? Absolutely. Absolutely. Jordan says, I hear something about you mentioning something about the SEC delisting the ETFs. So yes and no. That is, the delisting is kind of like maybe the word we shouldn't be using there. But the SEC has made it easier for institutions to file for ETF related products. Okay. The way that they have done that is what we talked about earlier here. Let me just pull this up here. Let me show you this. They're passing some rules here. So the SEC has dramatically streamlined the process for approving crypto exchange ETFs, introducing a generic listing standards. So they released this generic listing standards. The standards allow exchanges to list any commodity-based ETFs, including those tied to cryptocurrencies, without the lengthy regulatory approval. You previously needed a 19B4 filing, and they've basically gotten rid of you having to have this filing now. You can, as long as there's a futures market already for the asset, you can now streamline your ETF product. And so the cryptocurrencies that you're able to do this with already are Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Litecoin, Cardano, Doge, and Shiba Inu. These are the tokens that you're going to be able to do these quick listing products with it. Let's see here. Well, so you suck. Like, I'd imagine that some of the funding goes to help people like that, like what you said. But I'd imagine that a large part of the funding is to actually shore up the cuts that were made to the Affordable Care Act, right? So being from somebody that used to have, or I needed to pay for my own healthcare, right? And I was going through a very tough time in my life, right? That I found some help having to pay less money for my healthcare. This was, several years back, right? When you make a lot of these cuts to some of these things that people use to lower the cost of their healthcare goes up 75, 80%. And so what I've seen from the other side, the left side, is that they want some of those Affordable Care Act, that money shored up so it's not cut out of, 10 or 15 million people's healthcare, right? So I understand why both sides are very passionate about this, but the Republicans are in charge of the Senate, the House, and the presidency. If anybody's in control of the shutdown, you would think it's the people who are in control of the vote. That's just how I see that. Now, I could be wrong, obviously, but I think that's more of kind of what one side is asking for. I mean, like, politics are extremely complicated, and it sucks. And we are all very opinionated, more so than we've ever have been. And you find like one or two things that you don't like about somebody or something, and you hate everything about that person and what they bring, when really all you hate is maybe one or two things, right? And I think it's extremely complicated. And there's a lot of politicking going on right now, and not a lot of movement for regular people, right? The cost of living has gone up. The cost of groceries is up. People can't even buy a house right now, right? Inflation's going up. You've cut trillions of dollars out of people's healthcare and things like that over the next 10 years, right? Like, what effects is all of this stuff going to have? Last year we did 12 or 14 billion dollars in soybean sales to China. This year we've done none, right? So what is that going to do to the farmers? Like, there's a lot of things that are happening right now in the economy. The reason the Fed is having to drop rates more quickly now is because the economy is not doing too well. Now, you look at the stock market and you say the economy is doing great, but there's only a certain amount of percentage of people that actually own stocks. It's more the wealthy Americans that own more stocks. Average Americans don't, right? And so it's complicated. It's complicated. Yeah, you're going to get 2 more rate cuts. Higher your frequency, like, buddy, it's a distraction. It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction. So Mark, Mr. X, so we're going back to David Schwartz here, which, thank goodness. I think David, like when people were sharing some information earlier, somebody had there was a person named Robert in the chat, not me, different Robert, said that he had heard on a podcast that David is experiencing some health issues. I haven't heard that. I don't have I'd have to go see the podcast and listen to it myself. But you know, you get old. You know, you have other things that are important to you at a certain point. I think David feels that he's done probably everything that he can to put Ripple in a situation where they are the leading blockchain infrastructure company on the planet, right? You got to imagine being a CTO of one of the biggest blockchain infrastructure companies requires a lot of time and attention. And, you know, when I've seen David's profile, I know that he often talks about his granddaughter and his family. And I think he wants to spend more time with his family. And I think he wants to be a dreamer and a builder again, and not the CTO of Ripple. So, you know, I think it's a good thing that he's going and doing what he wants to do, right? You know, is it a good thing for us as XRP holders? I don't know. You know, you tell me. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. I just appreciate all of his hard work, all of his love, all of his support. And I think it's going to be a very hard thing to replace him. I think it's going to be a very hard thing to replace him. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that believe that the shutdown is they're going to like rush in, you know, a new system. I don't quite think that is the case. I think this is just, you know, more politicking between both sides. Not, you know, I don't think it has anything to do with XRP or the financial system or whatever. They implement XRP into the modernizing government payments during the lockdown. Yeah, that would be like, that is a dream. Like, that is a dream. I just don't think it's reality. But hey, who knows? Like, they could have a plan that we just don't know. Actually, I made a video about that earlier today. It'll probably come out tomorrow if you're interested in taking a look at that. Well, people were asking what the shutdown's going to do to the crypto market. So did you just want to avoid that whole thing and not specifically answer those questions? Like, that's the hard part, right? But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Belterlin says, hello, Sensei. I am new to the XRP family. I only have around 500 XRP currently. However, if the price I see mentioned reached, I'll still be very happy. Well, hell, welcome to the XRP community. Keep learning, keep growing. You know, I think 500 probably will be where you start. It usually isn't where you end up. Usually when you start really like learning about it and trying to understand it. But it's great to have you, man. Great to have you on this ride. And let's get these higher prices. Uh-oh. Very quick question. I know you're not a financial advisor. What are your thoughts on staking on Doppler Finance? I did it, but I panicked and pulled out of it. So this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, getting a yield off your XRP. A large part of the community doesn't want anything to do with handing over their XRP for any reason. And some people are very interested in getting a yield for their XRP. Some people in the comment section mentioned that they're waiting for XRP to appreciate more before that they try to like lock up XRP and do these types of things. But every person is going to be situational, and you do what you think is best for your portfolio. Personally, I'd like to see this play out more. I'd like to see, like Kate said, more rules and regulations around this so we know what's right and what's wrong, and we don't have a chance of it coming back to bite us. What do you think if David will work for He's not. He's not, bro. He is not. To go from Ripple to World Liberty Financial, are you moving up in the world? Or are you moving backwards in the world? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know, man. I just don't think so, man. Do I agree that if all of the things that Jake Claver said happened, that it would be a perfect storm for a 3 to 4 digit XRP? Absolutely. But is it going to happen? Right? One of the things that he's talking about is Tether collapsing and Bitcoin collapsing in on itself. Is that happening? Is that even remotely happening? I don't know. I made a video about all of this and updates about the reverse carry trade, right? The Japanese bond market is looking shaky, but people got to understand that what Jake doesn't tell you, right, is there are central bankers all over the world trying to prevent this from happening, okay? And maybe they can't, right? But there are stopgaps at every single point here. Now, if all of those stopgaps are blown through, that's going to be a problem. But you got to understand, this is going to be, if XRP is used like Jake says it is, it's going to be great for XRP holders, but it'll be financially ruining for every other person that you know in your life. Is that something you're rooting for? I cannot come out here and say that I'm rooting for the entire bond market to collapse, right? Because you got to understand, if all of this debt gets called in, Japan is the largest holder of US debt. I think it's like 1.7 trillion or more. If Japan starts selling US bonds, dumping US bonds on the market, do you think the UK and China and everybody else that holds US debt isn't going to start dumping too? And what does that do to the US dollar? You're talking about a hyperinflation situation where the dollar just becomes almost worthless. A total collapse of the bond market in the United States, that would be catastrophic. It's be catastrophic. I don't hear him explaining those ramifications, which is surprising to me. I appreciate you, suck. Thank you, man. And I think that we can disagree on a lot of stuff, but overall, we want the same thing. We want to see XRP. We want to see the crypto market taken to these other places. And how we get there is going to be really important. Let's see here. Hello, Sensei. David is getting ready for a pump. David has said XRP for the future for RLUSD. Oasis, thank you for sharing that, man. I appreciate you. Robert Pellegrino, great to see you, dude. What's up, Sensei? Just got here. Hope you had a great vacation with your wife. And I'm sure a lot of people can feel this way. When you go on vacation and you get back from your vacation, I feel like you need a vacation from the vacation that you just had, right? I'm so tired. Huh? Thank you, man. It's great to see you. David won't leave before he flips a switch. I like it, Kate. I like it, Kate. Oh, appreciate the input. I watch your regular and appreciate all you do for the community, bringing us updates and news. Mr. X, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. You have a fantastic week ahead, dude. I really appreciate you staying. Dude, listen, guys. Jake is a very smart, well-connected individual who's probably going to be worth billions of dollars one day, right? But I just wish that he would. He's liking the views, he's liking the clicks, he's liking all of the reactions to his price predictions, but that's going to be called up pretty soon. We're getting to the point where November, December are right in front of us. And if XRP doesn't break $20 or $30, so there's going to be people that are going to be not too happy. And I'm just trying to set those expectations for those people, right? If you're paying attention to all of these things that are going on, we'll see if he's correct about it. I would love for him to be correct. Just please understand that I am not rooting against him. How we get there is important, though. Robert Z says, what are your thoughts on Ripple working with Bank Social? I have no idea what Bank Social is, Robert Z. I have no idea, man. Send me an email. We'll take a look at it together. Billy says, Jake sells hopium and I smoke with the best of them. Claver has high hopes of a perfect storm. Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Are you going to get all of these things? Jake Claver, here, Cody, I'll show you. He's probably one of the most watched live. He does live stuff. Let me show you. This is Jay Claver. This is Jay Claver. A lot of people like his live streams. Very smart guy. Very smart guy. Jake is a very good salesman. I like you, Kate. He's good looking. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd imagine he's got those blue eyes too. That helps. And he can lift up a Honda probably. Dude, I don't know what it is, Christopher. I don't know what it is, but like I've been struggling to just find any energy. I don't have price predictions on Kronos. I don't own Crow. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Oscar Ramos, that would be the person to ask about Kronos. Was he a salesman? What did he do? What did he do? He used to be a bodybuilder. That makes sense. That makes sense. If it doesn't go to 750, he loses 3 million. What? He didn't bet 3 million. I thought he bet like 4,000 XRP or something to scams. Time change does screw up, but I'm wondering if it's that or something else. I don't know. Maybe I'm going through something. Cody says, honestly, $20 to $30 XRP 2026 is possible. I'd say very possible. Very possible. I think like you are going to have a perfect storm of ETF approvals, products on the open market, and not enough supply. I think the supply will come into effect here because you have less than 2 billion XRP left on exchanges. And if like banks and institutions are really seriously going to be getting into this at scale, there's probably not enough XRP on exchanges, right? And that could play a vital role in bringing the price up, having that like, remember when David Schwartz used to talk about a kimchi premium where XRP people in Korea paid more for XRP because it was harder to get? That could play out, in XRP markets too. Yeah. Lalo, so David Schwartz is stepping down as the CTO of Ripple at the end of the year. He wants to go and pursue being a coder and a developer again. He's going to be he's going to be on the board of Ripple, so he's not like, he's still going to be there for ideas and things like that, but he's not going to be in the CTO role. He's going to be a board member. I think David mentioned somebody in his post. Here, let me see. I'd imagine it's probably going to be this person. Hold on. I'd imagine it's going to be this person. This person. Dennis. I think this is who's going to be replacing him. But I mean, obviously, I don't know for sure. Wait. Well, how did I get this guy? Solomon what? Hold on. Okay, so this is the guy. Interesting. Huh. I'll have to do a video on that guy. Yeah, he is. I mean, it's working. I mean, he's making millions of dollars from it. So my hat's off to him, man. That guy, what can you say? He's getting it. Good for him. He's offering a service to people that need it. And that is business 101. Can't knock the guy for seeing an issue in the market and filling a demand. I mean, you can't knock him for it. Since I see the adoption of XRP all over the world, especially in countries with shaky currency, is it possible that XRP becomes a world currency? I think that's what we believe can happen. Just like to take this, when you're looking on a global scale, no country, especially in like BRICS, wants to trust each other, right? And so what do you do when countries don't want to trust each other's currency, right? Because Brazilians probably don't want to hold, yen, and the Chinese don't want to hold real or rubles, and it's kind of a mess. Okay, so if we're moving to this new digital infrastructure, and digital currencies will be, prevalent everywhere in the world, which currency could be used by all of these governments and do what it needs to do, act as a world reserve currency? And I think, like, when you see Brad Garlinghouse on stage with Ross Leckow, who is like the chief legal officer of the IMF, when he said, will the IMF be holding digital assets in the future? I think they've already talked about this and discussed this. And I think that it possibly, if there's any cryptocurrency in the world right now that would be best for a kind of world reserve asset, world reserve bridge asset, it would be XRP. That's just my personal opinion. ETF approvals will help, but the internal tokenomics will change. Yeah. I mean, all right, guys, listen, we're approaching 2 hours. I'm going to be in on Friday, same time. I don't have any guests this Friday. So what we'll do is we'll spend most of Friday going through your questions. So if you have a good XRP question or a good market question, bring it on Friday. We'll research it together. We'll go through it. I wanted to just thank Ariana and Curtis and Christopher and everybody else who showed up and asked questions. Red Panda, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Robert Pellegrino, thank you for being here. Big Kahuna, thank you. Lola, always great to see you. I will see all of you on Friday. I'm going to be continuing to buy if the market continues to dip. If you want to participate in the, in my crypto community, you can join Cryptonaires, wap.com/Cryptonaires, all good. And we have something rolling out next month for the people that are just interested in getting my research, my videos without ads, those types of things. We have something special launching here in a week or two, which will be, I think valuable for people who want to stay up to date with all of my research. So I will give you more information on Friday. I will see you then. All right. All right, guys. Aloha. Peace.